A wonderful, beautiful fragrance, people. How we doing? How's the fragrance world? How's the fragrance life? So, today I wanted to chat about. I'm going to wait for everybody to stop in, but I'll probably have to say this a couple times. But I wanted to talk about how we started our fragrance journey, like what got us into fragrances. I've talked a couple times about this on my channel, but I'm going to talk about it a couple more times here. Mention it, talk about it. Where did we begin our fragrance journey? What are your fragrance memories? I want to chat about that today. I think it's fascinating, and I really hope, as fragrance lovers, that we all maybe make a video, at least one video, talking about how we got into fragrances, what are some of our favorite fragrance memories, and maybe about the power of scents. My story is a little bit not as normal, I guess, as some other fragrance reviewers. I wasn't gifted a fragrance when I was like 15 or something. I wasn't, I didn't have a fragrance that, gifted as for a special occasion like graduating high school or anything like that. I was just a curious guy. I was just a fragrance lover. Hey, everybody who's popping in. I'm just talking about my fragrance story today. And feel free to ask me questions. That's what these lives are for. Ask me questions. I mean, what and make suggestions. Like, what do you want to see on my channel? How am I doing? Do you like my content? Did you see my video out today? I reviewed Cognac by Le Bon. If y'all have heard about that niche brand, kind of a niche house that almost nobody talks about. I'm not sure, but I think I might be the only fragrance reviewer has ever talked about that house here on YouTube. And most of their fragrances are pretty darn good. You can tell that they're rounded out with musk. So that's kind of a way that perfumers can kind of cheat a lot of the times. It's an easy thing to do where they can kind of round out the fragrance and make the fragrance smooth by using musk. And some perfumers actually really dislike that and try to avoid doing that. They certainly have done that, but it makes the fragrances really appealing and have this really rounded, like kind of like a big bubble kind of texture to the fragrance. So they're real nice. Hey, what just looking? Are you? I don't know what you mean. Good looking? I don't know. Bonsai by House of Matriarch. It's up for an art and olfactory award. Have you tried that one? I don't know if I've tried that one. I did try the new. What's that one that has like angel wings in it? Telegram or Telegram? No, it's like Terraform. I don't know. It's that one that's has like angel wings and powdery notes and a few things like that. I haven't tried all the new House of Matriarchs. Most of the ones I've tried are the older ones, but I've already spent almost $200 on samples on House of Matriarch. And for me personally, I mean, even waiting for them to go on 50% off, I'm kind of getting to the point where I like exploring new scents, but if I buy a sample and if I review it, unless the company wants to send me a review, I mean, a sample or something, I'm just not going to buy samples willy-nilly if I'm not truly passionate about the samples. So I kind of want to try Eaglewood, which is double the price of their normal fragrances. If you don't wait for a sale, I think they're 50 mils, and I think it's like $660. It's deep, and I don't think I'll, even if I love the fragrance, I don't know if a fragrance is ever worth that in my opinion. So they have one called Black Goat, which is about the same price, and I would love to try that. And I think they have one inspired by Christmas or something like that. But anyways, I bet it's nice. I think I watched Kuba Nose talk about that bonsai fragrance, and it looks pretty nice, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I can't pay that much. And honestly, they're kind of natural fragrances, and most of the time naturals are too expensive for what they feel like, and I don't know what goes into them. At least for me. Some people they love natural fragrances, and that really, it's a whole different niche within a niche of perfumery. There's all kinds of different fragrance lovers. We've talked about that before. Some people want mass appealing, some people want compliments, some people want beast mode, some people just want to smell good for themselves, and some people love the art and the history. We're all pretty different. So, uh, let me see here. Hey man, I felt like I'm taking a fragrance journey too far. I'm buying too much. Sometimes I don't even have enough money to spend and go out with my friends on holidays, and I've lost the passion for it. Help. Are you losing passion for life because of fragrance? You got to have a balance. Sometimes we joke around and we say that we're fragrance addicts. If you are hurting your finances, I mean, right now, I don't know where you are in the world, but a lot of us are quarantined. But I mean, hey, I feel you there that, sometimes you can get obsessed with any hobby, with anything. Some people get addicted to eating, some people get addicted to, I don't know, anything like exercising. Too much of anything in the excess and the extreme where you compromise too much of your life or your health or even your finances is a bad thing. So, what I probably buy too much myself, but I am a fragrance reviewer and I do really dedicate a lot of my time and life to this. But if you find that things are out of balance, I would just maybe look at your collection and see, do you feel fulfilled? Like, do you have a feel like you have a fragrance for every situation? And with anything that's addictive, I think that blind buying is a big part of the culprit for people who do get addicted to fragrances. It's like buying a new package, like opening a new pack of cards and experiencing something new for the first time. So maybe a way for you to get past that hobby, or that addiction with this hobby, and it's just a hobby really, is to go, maybe when we can actually go to malls. Sorry, I think gnats are attacking me. But go to the mall when we can actually do that in the future. Go to boutiques and smell everything without actually having to buy them. Even, buying samples, if you're really deep into fragrances, that can cost you a lot of money like it has for me. You could spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds on samples as well. So, you know, definitely, stop blind buying, get to the point where you at least feel like you have a fragrance for every situation. You have, versatile fragrances, at least a few of them. And I don't know, sit back. If you have fragrances collecting dust, if you have more than 5 fragrances, you probably have enough for every situation already. If you have more than 10 or 20, I mean, like I have 80 fragrances. I probably have too much. So, not everybody as a fragrance enthusiast or a fragrance lover has to have 100. I've seen people who feel like they need to get to 100 to feel justified or feel like they're a big fragrance reviewer. And sometimes I feel to some degree that's a little bit of some fragrance reviewers' fault because they get a big, like a cabinet, like a big display, and they put their fragrances behind them. And at first, I kind of had a bookshelf and I was displaying some fragrances, and I stopped doing that because I felt like I was trying to promote myself or make myself feel like more of an authority on fragrances, like just because I presented them. And I don't want people to be distracted or feel like they have to have a certain amount of fragrances to be into the hobby. If you watch my videos and you end up only buying 5 fragrances or 2 fragrances or whatever your whole entire life, I mean, that's all that matters. You don't have to have 10, 20. You don't have to have 100 fragrances to be a fragrance lover. We're all different people. We all love fragrances in different ways, and we all get attached to certain fragrances. So I hope that I helped you out. I think that some people maybe are addicted to fragrances. I won't say the fragrance reviewer's name, but he mentioned, and I have no idea what kind of financial situation he is. He might be a multimillionaire for all I know, but there's a fragrance reviewer in the community, and he admitted to having 3,000 fragrances. And for the most part, from what I can tell, most of his fragrances are niche. So he could have as minimum as $500,000 in fragrances, or as much as getting closer to $1 million in fragrances, which is to me is absolutely insane. But it all depends on your budget and it all depends on what you want. To one person, something excessive, you having a double cheeseburger, for example, is excessive. To somebody who wants, I don't know, a vegetation, I don't know, maybe a thin burger, or maybe just wants, I don't know, some ramen, maybe that's what they like and maybe that's what they want. So we all are at different points in our lives and different finances. So I don't know. It all depends on your opinion, but hopefully I'm here to help you, my friend. With my reviews, I'm trying to help you find fragrances that you love. I hope I never come across as a salesman. I'm never trying to push fragrances on you. I actually really dislike it when, some fragrance reviewers will say these are 10 fragrances that you need, or 5 fragrances that every man should have in his collection, or videos like that are kind of pushy. I won't say the fragrance reviewer's name. He's not. He's kind of more of an influencer and a men's I don't know, a men's clothing kind of guy, like I don't know, like a men's influencer. But there was a review that this guy did a long time ago, and I always remembered it because he was super pushy. And he tried to convince everybody of Mont Blanc Individual, which is a great cheapy fragrance, but I actually don't like the fragrance very much. And he was like trying to convince you, like, saying bombastic things like if you don't have that fragrance in your collection, then you're not, you don't have a fragrance collection or you're not a real man and stuff like that. And it bothered me. It bothered me a lot. So, hey there, Ronald. Hey, Dean. Just was looking. No problem. I caught on. Ronald Japinga says, "Evening scent of the day, Moschino Umo. Fantastic fragrance. I love that one. I actually have a cheapie video coming for y'all, and I definitely am including that one. I think it's one of the best cheapies out there for the money. Hey, Curious Perfumer. Hey, how you doing? What's happening, everybody? Hope everyone's staying safe. Yeah, Curious Perfumer, we're staying safe. And she's a wonderful lady. Definitely give her channel a chance, if you like her content. She's a nice lady. There's a bunch of nice fragrance reviewers who pop in here sometimes, and you're one of them, so thank you. And yeah, we're staying safe. I'm definitely being careful in these times and these days. Life is kind of crazy, so scent of the day, Jubilation 25. Well, Joseph, you know that I'd certainly approve of Jubilation 25. I think it's one of the best niche out there. Some people don't think it's particularly wearable. I find that Jubilation 25 might not be good for high temperatures, but I think it's a 24/7 fragrance all year long. You could I feel comfortable even wearing that fragrance in the summer if I wear like one spray. So I don't know. I find it pretty wearable. I don't find it strange. It has oud, but it's not scary oud. It has incense, but I don't find it as scary incense. I find it pretty mass appealing. It has a lot of sweetness to it. I actually kind of wish that they would make it more exotic, more Arabian. But hey, everybody feels about things differently. So Joseph said, "I'm in Sweden." Oh, Sweden. Um, I don't know if I don't remember her name, but do you ever have you ever come across a YouTuber? She's a Swedish lady, and she's gotten pretty viral, pretty big as a YouTuber, and she does some like ancient Celtic songs to like invite cows into the barn and some things like that. I find her pretty nice. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but if you want to reach out to me, I can help you find them. She did a video on the unique sound of like ice freezing, like in a giant lake, and I found it fascinating. So, Sweden's beautiful country. It's a beautiful place. I have Welsh and Irish roots, so I'm kind of drawn to Celtic or I don't know. Well, I don't even know what the right temperature is. Denmark and those kinds of areas. I find the people there fascinating, and I feel connected. So, good evening. Hey there, DCJ. How you doing? Hey, Dean. What's your thoughts on Roja Dove overall? Um, I'm not getting any free bottles. I've already said things that are probably already put me in hot water. I think Roja Dove is a reputable brand. A lot of people do love them. To me, a lot of their recent releases feel like retro fragrances. They have something a little bit classic about them. With nothing's wrong with classic inspired fragrances, but they kind of take inspiration from fragrances of the past. I wouldn't go as far as to say they're a clone house, but they do take inspiration from some of the great like Guerlain fragrances from time to time of the past. And I don't feel like a lot of Roja fragrances they don't feel like they have a lot of life to them as far as freshness goes, and a lot of them never become like dark and seductive. So for me, they're somewhere in the middle, and they don't really have the energy that I want with that style of fragrance. I either want it to be overtly bold, or I want their fragrances to be more potent and brighter, or I want them to become darker. So for me, a lot of the times the fragrance don't work for me, and a lot of the time the prices to me are way too much. Like for the money, I would far better. I personally would far prefer buying like a Ormond Jane or like a Nichane for myself personally. But I know a lot of people love the brand. I just think that a lot of their high end ones, I'm sure that they're using high quality ingredients, but the prices are just crazy. I don't know if you've seen how you know $300 is not their normal price. That's for Elysium and their Elixir. They made those to be like entry level, more accessible, mass appealing fragrances. The average price for a Roja fragrance is more like $500 or $600, and they have fragrances that get above $1,000. So I don't know. I don't know if their fragrances are worth that much money, and I don't know. From the ones I've smelled, I don't think that they are, but everybody has a different price range. They're meant to be exclusive. Some people like to lambast or criticize a brand if they're unreachable for the average person. They're meant to be exclusive. Some things are made to be exclusive and overtly expensive because some people, I'm not one of those people, but some people out there want to have pride of ownership. Not everybody can own, afford a Ferrari or an Aston Martin or something like that, like a really exotic, rare car, like an Aston Martin original, driven by one of the Bonds in like one of a big Hollywood production movie, multi-million dollar car, stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm not one of those people. I do like to smell artistic or unique, but I don't know. It kind of gets to the point where, like actual, what's the word? Actual like utility, like actual practicality. I and again, it depends on your budget, but I'm into knives as well, and there are some like art knives that are meant to be like art, and there are folding knives out there that by masters of their craft, handmade pieces, and they could be cost as much as $5,000. And you might be looking at your butter knife, and you think a knife is only worth $1, and there's some people who will buy a knife for $5,000. So yeah, so it all depends on what you got, what you need. So Joseph says, "Okay, Benjamin, give me 4 or 5 fragrances for every occasion." I trust your nose, man. Uh, I've made some videos about like unisex and highly versatile scents. I wouldn't blind buy off my recommendation, even if you trust me, even though if you like my nose or my opinions based on my sense of smell. I wouldn't recommend you just blind buy, but definitely go out there. I think that Wanted by Night is a great designer fragrance that's kind of underappreciated for what it can do. And honestly, I think I saw like the big 5 ounce bottle, 5 ounces, big bottle. That'll probably last you the rest of your life. And I think you could get it for like 30 odd dollars from Fragrance Net, which is ridiculous. And it's ladies love it. It's a pretty nice, pretty good fragrance. It kind of smells like Hugo Boss to me to some degree, but it's a little bit leathery. It's a little bit boozy. You might really like that one. I think CH Mid Privé is really, really nice. Some people think it's overtalked or overhyped, and I don't think so. I think it's just as good and a big competitor to La Nuit de l'Homme by Yves Saint Laurent. I think it's a little bit more masculine and it's a little bit more assertive, and I think it performs better than La Nuit de l'Homme. So that one's great. CH Mid Privé. I don't know. There's so many good fragrances out there. I'm a big fan of Ferragamo Umo, but that one's more on the gourmand side of things. And it depends on your price range as well. Are you willing to fork out money for a niche fragrance? If you are willing to dabble into something a little bit more interesting, we talked about Jubilation 25. I think it's amazing. I think just about everybody needs to check it out. I think that every man needs something soapy and clean in his collection. So everybody talks about Prada El Homme, but I think Dunhill Century puts up a big fight. I have a review coming out for Afnan Supremacy in Heaven. I think it's very long lasting. It's a great metallic sandalwood, almost like a creamy soapy scent. Really good for the money. And if I was to recommend a last scent, for the money, if you're looking for something that's definitely worth the money, I think you need to have a John Varvatos. That's just my personal opinion. Not the longest lasting scents in the world, but I think that every guy needs either like John Varvatos Vintage or Dark Rebel Rider or maybe Artisan Pure. Really good scents, but the sky's the limit. There's lots of classics. I'm a big fan of Platinum Egoist, Fahrenheit still rocking. There's a lot of really good fragrances, so it's hard to limit to 5, but definitely check out some of the best videos I've made, like unisex or versatile scents, and I'll be making some more videos for you, my man. So I hope that you liked my answer. Let me see here. DFW says cheeseburgers. Hey, nothing's wrong with a good cheeseburger. I'm a little bit more of a a good old fried chicken sandwich, like a Nashville hot. But I hope that y'all liked my analogies, my comparisons. Ronald says I put €10 per week aside for fragrance. That prevents me from overspending the same as watches and shoes. That's smart. That's good. Definitely put yourself on a budget. What I personally like to do is I like to make myself like a top 10 list essentially of fragrances that are on a buy list, and I have in my mind, they don't have to be in order, but kind of put them in order from like what do I want like immediately, what's definitely on the buy list, and then I rank them from kind of like 1 to 10, and I try to keep that updated because if I didn't do that, I kind of feel frustrated because there's probably 40, 50 fragrances that I want in the collection, and there's like 1,000 fragrances I want to try. It definitely keeps me a little bit from blind buying, even though I do blind buy, and I do take those risks. But I definitely I tend to buy a bunch of fragrances, do a big haul every month or two. Whenever I save up some money, I tend to like to do that. I find it exciting. I usually don't trickle or spend every penny, every couple weeks. I tend to buy in lots. Also because I buy from discounters from FragranceNet and all that, it kind of makes more sense. I usually don't buy individual fragrances, but I mean all of us do things differently. So that's good advice though. $10 a week, make yourself a little budget and limit yourself. So to get $100 fragrance, you might have to save up 2 months, and that'll kind of help you to be a little bit more responsible. So, Eau Sauvage EDT versus the. Do you mean the EDP? Eau Sauvage. I think the Parfum's better. Some people don't think so. Some people have been very critical of the EDP, and then there's the new Parfum. I do think the new Parfum maybe is a little underwhelming, but I think the EDP is great. A lot of people are attached to the EDT because it's big and bold. It has a lot of projection to it, but I don't think it's very smooth. I think it's kind of chaotic. I've talked about my thoughts on Sauvage. I think the EDP is the better way to go. And if you want to be more office safe and you want to be more, I don't know, more inoffensive and smell a little bit more classy, I kind of would rather have the Parfum version versus the EDT. But I know a lot of people feel very different about that. If you really want to get noticed, if you really want, to kind of, get attention, get people to notice you, the EDT has the best projection. But I just don't like how it's composed. I don't enjoy the smell very much. But all of us are different, so I'd encourage you to get out there and actually smell them, and kind of decide which one you like better. You should. I know that we all can't go to the mall, but when we can go back to the mall, finding all the different versions of Sauvage shouldn't be too hard. Like at your local mall, at your Macy's, your Dillard's, if you're in the USA, that shouldn't be too hard to do. DFW says Jubilation 25, great pick. Oh yes, I think Jubilation 25 is great. I don't want it to become like an Aventus. I don't want to hype anything to high heaven. I do think Aventus is a great fragrance. It smells good, and it deserves a lot of talk. But I think it's too hyped. It's too popular. There's a lot of other great scents out there. I I don't like any scent getting too popular for its own good. Baccarat Rouge 540, Oud for Greatness, or any of these scents like that. I, it's one thing for it. It's something to get popular. It's one thing for a lot of people to talk about it. But when they outsell, like Aventus outselling other niche fragrances like 10 to 1, things like that. I think it's outrageous because there's a lot of other great scents out there, and I want to help people find fragrances that they truly love. And there's no doubt that a lot of people are going to love Aventus, and a lot of people are going to be drawn to Aventus for good reason. And I realize that, but there's too many people who just if getting into fragrances, and somebody says you have to have Aventus because it's like the best thing around, or you don't have a collection if you don't have Aventus, and I don't like that. And hope that people don't feel that way. I'm not with Jubilation 25. I'm not saying that everybody has to buy it or everybody should buy it, but I do think that y'all should smell it. I do think that y'all should give it a chance. If you like Cedroc Boise and you want something more exotic, something a little bit more interesting, I think that Jubilation it's a great one. So definitely check it out. Roja Dove has a YouTube channel. It's an interesting watch. I think I might have watched a little bit of it here and there. There are some reviewers or some perfumers who kind of have their own channel. I usually don't watch those, but maybe I should. I usually just glance over them. If if the brand is willing to go into their history, that's nice. But I haven't smelled everything from Roja, but I have a pretty good opinion on a lot of their fragrances. So yeah, Roja doesn't even have a lot of followers. Yeah, they're meant to be exclusive, and that's another thing. Some people criticize certain brands that Roja isn't trying to appeal to everybody. I mean, yes, again, they have Elysium and they made Elixir to, kind of reach to the average person, but again, they're $300 fragrances. But some brands, their market strategy is to be exclusive and to only sell to a small amount of people. A lot of niche fragrances, especially high end, especially natural perfumery, they're not trying to sell to everybody on the street. They're not trying to sell to your neighbor, to your mom, your pop, your cousin, your aunt. They're for enthusiasts, and there's a market for everything. Um, you know, for example, sometimes I watch funny things, like axe tournaments. People who, I don't know, cut wood as a competition, like how fast they can be a lumberjack, which might seem like a really weird thing to y'all, but I don't watch them avidly. I'm not a huge fan. But I've looked up their tournament axes before, and they start out at least like 150 bucks if you want like a real tournament one of these axes. And the average person, might say just get a chainsaw. The average person out there might say, I can buy an axe from my hardware store like Ace, and I can pay 30 bucks. Or maybe you want to restore a good old axe and buy something from eBay for $30 to $50 and get yourself a quality axe head and put a handle on it and invest, I don't know, 50, $60. Everybody has a different market, a different want and a need. So I guess it's just good to have perspective. Hard to feel bad about your small channel when Roja only has 4,000 subs. um hard, what what do you mean? I don't know what you mean by that. I'm not complaining about having 2,000 subs. I haven't said that. I do like to grow, and I do hope that my channel grows. I want more people to, uh, if you're on YouTube, at least I think most people, they want people to see more of their content. I feel like I have a good message. I feel like I have a good thing going. And, the whole purpose of YouTube is trying to have people experience, your words and what you're sharing, and help people. So I do want to grow. I'm not complaining about where I am. I feel fortunate that I have a voice and that I can use YouTube, and I'm grateful for all the people who are here who do like my content, and do want to be our fellow fragrance enthusiast. Maybe feel connected to my words and my style and my personality. I appreciate that. I'm not sure if you meant that as a criticism or not, but thank you for being here. Joseph says, I liked your answer. Thanks. I want to try Wanted by Night. What's your thoughts on By the Fireplace? By the Fireplace is amazing. It deserves the hype. My only criticism of By the Fireplace is that I want it smokier. I have seen one lady reviewer, I won't say her name, and there are some people who do feel like it's too smoky. I actually think this actual intense smokiness of By the Fireplace goes away after about 40 minutes, and I actually wanted there to be I wanted it to be even smokier, and I wanted that smoky quality to last throughout the fragrance. So that's about my only complaint. On my skin, I only got about 6 or 7 hours of performance. For in my opinion, it feels like a winter fragrance, and it needs to be a winter fragrance. So I want it to be a little bit deeper and more concentrated. I want to get like 8 to 10 hours out of it, but it's pretty nice. I do find that it's more unisex. Maybe they'll make an intense version out of it, maybe one day, and maybe it'll be a little bit more, I don't know, masculine feeling for me, or intense enough. It's a little bit unisex, and maybe that's a good thing, because if they made it, I don't know, more intense like I want it to be, not everybody would buy it. It'd be a little bit too bold and a little bit too daring. So I don't know. It's a good fragrance. It really is. I have talked really highly about it and really encouraged people to try that one. But I do feel like it's a fragrance that you could share with your significant other, for sure. So really good fragrance. It's sweet in the dry down. I forget if it's jasmine or not, but it kind of ends up smelling a little bit irisy in the dry down. Really good fragrance. Worth the hype. So I need a fragrance with a projection radius as big as your yard. You like the yard, huh? Well, actually, again, everybody's different. For somebody who's in a big city, this is absolutely ridiculous. This yard back here is, I don't know, like an acre, maybe approaching about 2 acres on for this lot. And for somebody who's in a big city, that's unbelievable. That's outrageous. But if you're out here, I know people who own hundreds of acres. There are people who own hundreds of acres of land. This is a more rural place in the world, and land is pretty cheap. So, again, it depends on your perspective. For some people, this is a dream yard. This is outrageous, but for some people, this is quite small. I know people who live out there on land, and this is hunting land or a area around here where people can hunt and there's deer and everything. So again, it's fascinating. We all live in a different world, different life. So let me see here. Does By the Fireplace smell like Stronger with You? I think that there are some similarities. I feel like Stronger with You is sweeter, it's richer, it's more gourmand. You know, By the Fireplace is more smoky, and then it ends up actually becoming a little bit of a lighter scent, on my skin, maybe a little bit floral. Uh, you know, Stronger with You just ends up being really sweet and really gourmandish. But I do see where people could connect that they have a similar vibe, a similar feel, but there's differences. They're not the same. But I don't know. I think that if you like really sweet stuff, if you like really gourmandy stuff, you probably would like Stronger with You more. If you want something that, particularly smoky, maybe a little bit more artistic, By the Fireplace is nice for that. So, Randy says, I prefer kerosene blackmail over the fireplace. People have told me I need to try kerosene, and that one in particular, I'll definitely have to check it out. I need to catch up on that brand. A lot of people speak pretty highly of them, and I think it's great that he was, a fragrance reviewer. He actually made a fragrance brand, and he's having some pretty good success. I respect that he actually, became a perfumer and followed his passion, like Mr. Oz is doing Fragrance View, and some of these guys who are starting their own fragrances. So, I have Camp how do you say it? Zarina, which is what By the Fireplace should have been. I'll have to try that one. I don't. Let me take a screenshot real quick. I don't think I've tried that one. I don't know much about Zarina, but I'll have to check it out. Have you tried Xerjoff Thoughts? Yes, I have tried some Xerjoff. Really, they're a mixed bag. I think that Xerjoff is classy. I think their bottles are absolutely stunning. I about the only Xerjoff that I'd be willing to buy is Renaissance, but it's a little bit more of like a minty, aromatic fragrance. I want to try some of their new. They have a few fragrances inspired by stars and the moon. I think there's a new one inspired. I think it was by the stars, or I forget, but I don't know. The few Xerjoffs I've tried haven't been for me. I tried their Oud collection, and I wasn't blown away, especially for the price, by their Oud collection. Their Alexandria 2 is selling really, really well, and I respect it. I think it's really nice, but honestly, for me, it kind of has the same feeling. It kind of does the same thing as, I don't know, something like Enigma or Creation E by Roja. And for that style of fragrance, I personally prefer Fan Your Flames by Nichane, but everybody's different. It certainly is a good fragrance. Alexandria 2, from the sounds of it, is probably one of their biggest sellers. Their big their deals. So, and again, it's really funny that not a lot of fragrance reviewers talk about that fragrance, and sometimes it's easy to not really know what's going on in the market. You have to really be inside the industry to know those kind of details. And I try to pick up, hints and pick up those details from what I can learn from, inside YouTube and outside of YouTube, everywhere. You know, Alexandria too is their big deal. I don't know if I'll buy a Zerjov anytime soon. Renaissance is definitely on the buy list though, but maybe I'll find another Zerjov that I like in the future. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Let me see here. Scent of the day is actually kerosene, and again, I wasn't trying to put down on Zerjov. Some people really do like them, and I haven't tried. I've only tried a handful, so I can't judge the brand. Scent of the day is actually kerosene copper skies. That one looks interesting. One, I need to try that one. Everybody's talking about kerosene. Is everybody big kerosene fans here? Let me see here. Zarina Camp Zarinia. I'll have to try that one. DJ Ginkai. What was that? Good one. Oh yeah, for sure. And definitely check out his channel, DJ's. He has a new channel called was it Cloud Based Sense. Love your content, man. Keep up the content. There's a lot of people popping in the fragrance community. I do some shout outs on my Facebook, but I don't know if y'all are seeing, but there's a lot of people popping up and kind of stealing the show. I got a big shout out video coming. Actually, I'm kind of worried. A lot of these guys are pretty good. Y'all might not watch me, but oh well. They're pretty cool guys. All right, and ladies too. So let's see here. It's worth it, Ben. Okay, I'll check it out, DJ. I'll see what's going on over there. It looks really good. See, Cyan says, do you have cosmetic, forest, and neon sunset DJ? No, I don't know what those are. I try to keep up with fragrances, but by golly, there's a lot of them out there. Never tried that one. Actually, I might. There's another indie brand out there. I think the owner might be a witch. I keep finding these indie brands, owned by these interesting people. I might actually showcase them, but I don't know if y'all want to see more of that stuff, like Andromeda's Curse, that indie brand. All their fragrances are like witchy. Anyways, Ronald says, I like Roche some fragrances and contemplating buying Mademoiselle Roche's Couture for my girlfriend. Has anyone tried that? No, I haven't tried that. I haven't tried a lot of Rojas fragrances. They seem to be kind of, I don't know, are they hidden gems? Not a lot of fragrance reviewers talk about all the other Rojas fragrances. I think a lot of people know Rojas Man, and I think there's an older Rojas Man called like Eau de Rojas. Some people talk about it a little bit, but not that brand doesn't get a lot of love for sure. Cyan Oxide Cosmic Forest. No, I don't know that one. Let me see here. I need to copy. Yeah, man. I might be odd. My all-time favorite is Invictus Aqua 2016. Hawas by Rasasi was a good clone. Let me see here. A good clone but it's reformulated. Oh, they reformulated Hawas too? That's a shame. Is it still a good fragrance? I kind of wanted to get that one before it was reformulated, if that's true. That's a shame. I kind of wanted to get that one. But yeah, a lot of people love that. There's a big cult following of that Invictus Aqua. There might smell similar to it, a clone. I haven't come across anything that smells like Invictus Aqua recently. There were a few fragrances when, the 2016, there were some clone houses and some clones that came out for a short period, but there's not a lot of fragrances that are really trying to copy that fragrance smell or that fragrance DNA. There was a fragrance by Fragonard called like Mezzanotte that was it's essentially a niche version of Invictus. It doesn't exactly smell like Invictus Aqua, but if you want a niche version, the only real thing that I've smelled that I would kind of recommend if you love that DNA, it's called like Mezzanotte by, I think it's, was it like Molinard? It's really good quality. It actually smells really, really good. I'm not the biggest fan of the Invictus DNA personally, that, bubblegum sweet kind of thing going on, that like blue raspberry bubblegum. But hey, it's a big compliment getter, and it does smell good. But I don't know if I want to smell like that. If I was 18, I'd be all over it. I did have a bottle of it, in the past. So let me see here. Catch up with the comments. I got Mustache EDP. Absolutely love it. So the hype is real. The hype is true. I need to pick up on that fragrance. I need to get it. A lot of people are saying how good it is. There's a lot of hype behind that one. A lot of people are saying it's like a cheaper or maybe even better than Tuxedo by Yves Saint Laurent. So I don't know. It must be pretty good to be better than that one. I tried any honey fragrances. I love Back to Black by Kilian. Picked up Noxos recently. I have Pure Havana. I've tried a few of them. There's one that I really recommend. It's Elisab Le Parfum, but that one's for ladies. But I don't know. Maybe everything's unisex. I don't know if you'd be comfortable with wearing that. A lot of people talk about Bee by Zoologist. I've smelled a few fragrances. There's Le Invol by Cartier. That one was a little bit dusty. It was pretty unisex, maybe leaning slightly femme. It wasn't for me, but I can see why some people really liked it. I haven't came across a lot of honey fragrances that I like. There's those honey tobacco scents. Those are probably fragrances a little bit more in my world that I like. Like Supreme Leather has some honey to it. You can notice the honey vibe to it. Supreme Leather by Polo. I think it's pretty nice. Some people think it doesn't. It's not big enough or it's not bold enough, but it's really good for like a close encounter situation or a jacket fragrance if you want to spray it all over your jacket in the fall. So I really like that stuff. Let me see. DJ says, "What's your favorite realistic coffee scent, Ben? Give us the goods." Favorite coffee scent? Well, y'all know that I'm a bit. It's not. I don't know if it's particularly natural, but I really respect Ferragamo Umo. Not a lot of people seem to talk about it. It got a little bit of hype when it came out, but the new signature steals all the spotlight, and Ferragamo Umo is kind of forgotten. And it's a great fragrance for the money. It's pretty much a cheapie you can get for like $30, and does smell like coffee, but it's not a coffee bomb. If you want a coffee bomb of a fragrance, there's one. What's it called? Coffee Cure or like something like that. There's one by Happy Land Fragrances, and it's really big, bombastic, smells like exactly like a coffee shop, like you poured, some really strong, potent espresso all over yourself. There's one that Fragrance Apprentice talked about a number of times. I haven't sampled that one, but he's talked about it. Go to Fragrance Apprentice channel and definitely check out some of his reviews, and you should be able to find that one. There's Pure Coffee by Mugler, which doesn't last the longest, but is pretty wearable for a coffee scent. That Ristretto, that Intense Cafe Ristretto version by Montal is darn good. That's probably one of the best ones I've ever come across. I really want a bottle of it. Maybe I'll be able to get it once it goes on sale sometime in the future. Intense Cafe is really nice, but it's a little bit rose dominant. It's a little bit powdery. The Ristretto really makes it a little bit more of like a gourmand coffee scent. It's probably a little bit more of what you were expecting. So let me see here. Hopefully that helps you, DJ. I got Camp Zerenia, Cinematic, and Cloud 9. Oof, gotta check those out. I'm sending Ben a decant of Verified and Pool Boy so he can review. I've never seen those, but I'll check them out. I've never seen Pool Boy. That's an interesting name. It sounds like it could start getting scandalous, if you know what I mean. Cyanoxide says, "I smelled Pool Boy. How did you ever get verified? Verified account? What's going on here? I thought you needed a blue check mark on Twitter. Is it hard to get verified on Twitter? I've never really tried to get verified on Twitter. So are you Brad Pitt or something?" Ben is Brad Pitt. Hey. Thanks for the compliment, man. Thanks for the compliments. That means a lot. I mean, I guess I think I'm kind of. I mean, am I too humble for my own good? I don't think I'm that charming, but maybe I am. Sometimes the ladies, like what they see, but I don't know. Maybe I'm too nice for my own good. Hello to Rosie. Oh yeah, that Intense Cafe is a bit rose heavy. It certainly is. Intense Cafe Ristretto is great, but has definitely a funky edge if you can get past it. So yeah, some people feel like it is a little bit funky, but I can take something a little bit odd or maybe something a tiny bit animalic, but I don't know. I like it. I'm sure that there's some really good coffee fragrances out there. I just haven't found them yet. I do have some that I really want to try on. Back in the day, if before it was discontinued, I'd recommend Givenchy Play Intense, which I think is really good. I have a hate love relationship with Herod by Parfums de Marly, but some people absolutely love it. For me, there's a high pitched sweetness in the dry down that sometimes bothers me in Herod, but Herod is, for some people, is a big love. You might want to check that one out, by Parfums de Marly. Even though I don't like talking about them because everybody seems to want to talk about Parfums de Marly, and there's a lot of other great niche houses out there. It gets way too much talk for its own good, just like Aventus. Aventus gets too much talk for its own good. I finally got a 2017 batch of Silver Atomizer of Club de Nuit Intense Man. Is it everything you dreamed that it would be? Is it worth the hype? I actually went looking on eBay for that before. I actually was tempted to buy it, but I never found one. Uh, there's people can charge what they want, and people are still buying them up like as fast as they possibly could. So maybe I'll get one of those. Supposedly the new batches are just as good. At first they say it was kind of, I don't know, had a harsh opening, and then yeah, with the 2017 batches there was like a second batch that was perfect, and then they kind of made it kind of harsh, and supposedly they've come back and made it kind of fruity and as good as it used to be. But I really don't know. For some people, it's too much to play around with batches. It's one thing to play around with a couple batches of Creed, Aventus, and batches with Creed Aventus are real. I kind of get annoyed, and I haven't really messaged anybody angrily and tried to debate them. But there's a fragrance reviewers time to time. I actually unsubbed from one because all they did is like hype up Ultime. They said that Jubilate. I mean, I'll watch their content from time to time. I might stop by in the future, but these people said that Ultime. You might know who they are. I'm not trying to spread gossip, but anyways, they hype up Ultime, which I think is powdery, and you can buy Nautica Voyage. You don't need to search out or pay extra money for, I don't know, Ultime by Yves Saint Laurent. And they keep saying that everything's outdated, like anything that's like 1 or 2 years old. They're saying like Dolce Gabbana the one is outdated and stuff like that. And they hype up like Sauvage. I don't know. I was kind of bothered. They said that Jubilation didn't do anything for them. You think that you think that Jubilation 25 is boring? It's one thing if you say that Jubilation 25 is a little bit too interesting for you, but if you say that Jubilation 25 is essentially boring and you're hyping up blue fragrances, I don't get it. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Anyways, you reminded me of that. You did it. You reminded me somehow of that. I got the. So is it everything you dreamed of? That 2017 batch of Club de Nuit Intense Man. I'm so over Aventus. Yeah, Aventus is a good fragrance. It's not bad, and I'm not trying to say you shouldn't buy it. And some people have got the misconception that I was trying to. I do think that 27. I mean, I do think that Aventus is overplayed. I do think that it's overdone. And some people get the wrong impression that I was saying that everybody on the street is smelling like Aventus and that people are going to recognize you if you walk down the street. It's still a niche fragrance. There's millions and billions of people in the world. You can still smell original, and people have never smelled Aventus. But I don't know. I do question if you go to a popular club, if you live in a big city, with how many clones there are of Aventus. I do wonder if you're going to smell that original, if you're going to smell that special with Aventus. And that's kind of what I was trying to say. And also, if you're paying a luxury price, exclusivity really does matter to me. Even if I truly love a fragrance, and I do like Aventus, I'm not in love with it. I've never really been in love with Aventus. But if you're going to pay like, 150, 200, $300 for a fragrance, I want to smell unique. I want to walk into a room and people have never smelled that fragrance before, and I smell darn good, and it can even be a conversation starter. Like, I don't like Baccarat Rouge 540, but if I did, it would be the same with Aventus. It would be a big negative because it's so popular. To me, niche is all about being exclusive and rare. And that's one reason that some people like these Roja fragrances or like super expensive niche, because there's a level of exclusivity to the fragrance. I never personally really get that prideful. Like some people kind of get that way about having discontinued fragrances because they're kind of rare or hard to get. I'm never personally that way, but I can see why that some people might want to feel that way. But yeah, I'm over Aventus. I think it's overdone. I think it's a little bit too popular for its own good. I'm not trying to bash people who have Aventus. It smells great. I actually really want a bottle of 20 fit. Was it 15 XO1? And just for me saying that a couple of times on my channel, it's already pretty desirable. But just for me saying that and a couple people actually desiring the bottle, I might have just made that that bottle worth $100 more because it's discontinued, and batches they get ridiculous. I don't know if y'all are into batches of Aventus have ever paid attention. I got it, my dad, and he got into the Aventus fix. And there's people, if you have an original batch, the desirable double Z batch, I think it is, the Z01s or whatever, you could pay up to $2,000. And I don't know. I'm like, people, please stop it. It's not worth that much. It's not that good. You can be, no, you can be happy with a, with a regular batch or even a clone. Have you tried Rose All Day? I think I have. It's I don't honestly. If I did, it doesn't stand out to me. I need to revisit it if I have. What isn't it like metallic and rosy and kind of rich? I'll have to give it a try. I don't think it's for me, but some people really do love it. Everybody's got different tastes, though. I don't think it was for me. Gallagher, as a whole, and I don't want to beat up on any brand. They're still kind of a smaller house compared to some niche houses. I don't want to beat up on them, but in my experience, they don't work for me. I don't know why, but they just don't work for my taste and my personality from what I've smelled and what I've tried. Just like imaginary authors, for the most part, didn't work. But we all have different taste and different styles, so I don't know. Give it a chance. Buy a sample. I never encourage people to blind buy whole bottles unless, again, you have a lot of money. It's not going to matter if you resell it or give it to your friend. I mean, hey, we're all on different budgets, but you'll lose a good amount of money if you're opened it, and even if you sprayed a couple sprays and don't like it. So get a sample if you can. Cafe and Ohm for the holidays. Yeah, those are really good coffee scents. Cure Cafe is the one I was thinking of that smells really strong, like a big coffee fragrance. It's definitely very potent and smells very realistic. I do wish that the fragrance had a little bit more complexity to it. To me, it just smells like pure coffee, and that kind of to me is kind of crazy. But nah. Dean says Gallagher and Rogue are two of the best houses out there, in my opinion. Yeah, definitely give Gallagher a chance. I'm not trying to discredit them. The few fragrances I've tried from them didn't work for me, but hey, I might find one that I like soon if I ever decide to buy some more samples of them. Rogue is really good. A lot of people like their oak moss fragrance. I never can remember the name of it. A lot of people like. There's one called like Illumos or Illumi or something like that. It's kind of powdery and really interesting. For me, the big stunner and the big winner from that house, Rogue Perfumery, was the Devish. How do you say it? It's kind of a really interesting, kind of like a creamy ambery fragrance. It's a little bit retro, maybe has a little bit of an old school vibe to it, but that stuff is gorgeous. That stuff is really high quality to my nose and is really charming stuff. So if you're looking at Rogue Perfumery, definitely give them a chance. I like them that they're actually rebellious. If you want to sell at distributed stores, if you want to sell like as a major brand, if you want to be like Versace or Gucci or any of the even niche houses, and you want to sell in main brand department stores, you're going to have to play by their rules. And I like that, Rogue Perfumery is deciding to actually be rogues, rebels, maybe even villains, and they're not playing by the IFRA regulations. If you live in the USA and some places in the world, you can actually be free, and they're not going to be able to sell in big name department stores. And if they ever get really big, maybe IFRA or maybe Firmenich is going to try to do something against them. But as far as currently, we still have that freedom in the USA to make whatever you want and sell it wherever you want. So I like that they're using real oak moss. Some people are making the excuse is that they were, oak moss was going extinct. It's not extinct. They don't even farm the stuff particularly. You come down to the south where I live, And I'm sure there's a certain type of oak moss that's the most desirable, but there's oak moss on trees, and there's like acres of it, and people don't even use it and don't even care about it, and people don't even harvest the stuff for perfumery. When I start my own brand, I I probably need to uh, call up some connections. I'm telling y'all too much info. Y'all are gonna take all my oak moss away. Some big company is gonna swoop in and message and get all this oak moss that's down here. I've had Ohm for the holidays for Happyland Studios on my must-buy list a while now. I've heard great things about it. Yeah, it sounds like a great kind of gourmandy, kind of cinnamon, kind of spicy fragrance. It sounds really good. I haven't gotten that bottle from them. For me, Blue Fire and Rhyolite were the big winners. For me, I think Rhyolite's probably my favorite. And I think that Signature was darn good. Happyland Studios is pretty nice. I mean, they're extracts. They cost anywhere from $50 about for 50 mils. I'm not exact on the price. Some of them are a little bit different from each other. Some are closer to 60, but I think they're pretty good for the money. So some of them, I'm not trying to be a shill, even though I got some of them for free. And some of them I didn't love, and I was honest about that in my reviews. Like Barbershop, I don't. I Barbershop didn't work for me. It smelled it kind of like a niche, like a very big improvement, a much better improvement, but it still reminded me of Stetson's original, which is kind of this watery, kind of like dewy leather fragrance. And maybe if you're a gentleman and you want something that gives you great performance, and maybe you want something that reminds you of like a leathery kind of aftershave, it might work for you. But for me personally, that's not something that I would want to wear. But everybody has different opinions on some fragrances, and some people don't like Blue Fire, but I think that Blue Fire is one of their most interesting, their most artistic fragrances from Happy Land. So let me see here. Haven't gotten a full wearing out on the 2017 batch yet, but what I do get from it is, in fact, I'm not buying any more Ventus clones. Yeah, if you got the real deal Aventus, you probably don't need a clone unless you want something really safe and really versatile for everyday situations, and you don't want to wear your 2017. I hope that you didn't pay a lot extra. Yeah, you didn't have to pay a lot more money for your 2017 batch. I think it's ridiculous how much some of the batches go for. In my personal opinion, Aventus isn't even worth messing with unless you have a 2016 or older. And because of the price, I don't know if Aventus is even worth messing with. I have a review coming out. I keep telling y'all, I have so much content. I still have over 100 videos that have not been up. They've been uploaded, but they're still private. And I have tons of samples to review, fragrance battles, top 10 list, collaborations, and all kinds of stuff I need to do. And I need to get that review to y'all. But the new 2020 Aventus, they was hit by another reformulation. It wasn't really their choice. They have to obey the IFRA laws and the regulations. And I think y'all are going to be not very happy about that. Kind of disappointed. So let me see here. Best super rare out of production fragrance. That's a super hard question. I haven't tried some of the super rare, super expensive stuff out there. There's probably some fragrances out there that are absolutely ridiculously expensive. I honestly don't know. I like some Atars, some real deal ouds, and some of those can get like $100 for like 1 mil. If you think that a niche fragrance is expensive for 30 mils or 50 mils for $500, try $100 per mil. And so, their biggest size they usually offer is like 3 mils or so for these real wild ouds, and try like $300 for 3 mils. And take that into consideration that if you got 100 mils, I think that would be like, I don't know, 10 mils would be like 1,000. So what is that? $10,000 for 100 mils. But the stuff is super potent. I'd never pay. I can't afford that, but I do like some of those wild exotic ouds. But I don't know. I don't know of any discontinued fragrance that I particularly want or have tried that's really rare and I really want it. I don't know of anything like that. For me personally, I don't fantasize, and I don't really find it attractive that a fragrance is discontinued. I don't feel like that's something appealing to me. For me, there's so many great, amazing fragrances that are in production that honestly, when things get discontinued in my collection, designer wise, and somebody out there really wants it, I'm willing to sell it off because, you can sell it for double or triple what you paid for it. And there's plenty of good enough fragrances that I don't know. I don't feel attached, and I don't feel like, especially with designer fragrances, there's not anything that's so good that it can never be replaced, or something that I can buy for cheaper is just as good. I've never felt anything vintage or discontinued has been that special in the designer world. Now I know that there's probably some niche fragrances like that, but I don't know, designer wise, there's been a few that have been standout fragrances, like Midnight in Paris by Van Cleef and Arpels was one of the best designer fragrances ever released, in my opinion. Had some real personality, but that one, if you found an EDP bottle, somebody might want to charge you 150 to 250 for like 100 mils. Would I ever want to go near it for that price? No, I wouldn't even shake a stick at it for that. I'm that kind of person. I thought it was great, but I don't even know if I'd want to pay $80 for it. Honestly, it's a good fragrance, and I find it really good. But $80 is probably the most I'd ever pay, even for the EDP. You'd be lucky to find the EDT these days. The EDT is almost extinct. Of Midnight in Paris by Van Cleef and Arpels. So, Cyan Oxide says Norn. Oh, by Slumber House. Yeah, Slumber House has some good fragrances for sure, really good ones. I've tried a few of them. I've never tried one that I've fallen in love with, but there's one with pear, and I forget if that was like cursed. There's one with pear that I really wanted to try, and I hope it's not discontinued. I might fall in love with it, and that'd be a shame, but I don't know. So, Mezzanotte by Gallimard reminds you of Invictus? No, not Invictus Aqua, just regular Invictus. Please don't get confused. It doesn't smell like Invictus Aqua. It smells like a very high quality niche version of Invictus. It's a little bit different, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And if you can find that for a decent price, I certainly think that if you want a higher quality version, if you're a big fan of the Invictus DNA, if you absolutely love it, I think it's worth trying out. So, thank you for sharing this valuable info to us. I appreciate your time. I'm here to help you. That's what these lives are all about. If you have a question for me, if you're looking for a certain scent, maybe you have a recommendation about what you want to see on my channel, that's what these are all about. And honestly, if these conversations go very well, I don't even have to stay on topic. Today, I kind of wanted to talk about our fragrance journeys, like how we got into fragrances, what got us interested in fragrance, when did you first buy your first fragrance, how'd you get it, and what are some of your fragrance memories. But we don't even have to talk about that. So where did you buy the Club de Nuit Intense 2017? Mose Illumine. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. That's the one that's a little bit powdery, perhaps. Yeah, DJ, I know that you like that fragrance. I don't know if you own it, but that'd be perfect if you like slightly powdery fragrances. I love the Deviche. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. The Devonish. I think that stuff is gorgeous, and I might have to get a bottle one day. But where did you buy that 2017? You're probably gonna have to get lucky and be really fast on the buy button on eBay. There are a few websites that supposedly smell vintage stuff, and but I usually don't wear those sites or pay attention. There's some apps where people sell used stuff like eBay, and supposedly some people have found really, really good vintage stuff on there. So any other fragrance reviewers on YouTube that may have inspired you to hop in and motivated you in your own work? Oh, like start my own channel. When I first started watching fragrance reviews, of course, the first reviewer, I think I've told you all this story, but I've actually first started on Fragrantica, and I really appreciate, people sharing more passionate about information. And there are good fragrance reviewers. I hope that I'm a good fragrance reviewer and that I'm very helpful. At least I think I am. But when I first actually started, looking into fragrances and learning about fragrances, it was from Fragrantica, and I became really involved. I think I have over 100 reviews, maybe over 200 as Centaur. I haven't changed my name on there yet. If y'all haven't noticed, I changed my name to Centaur, and that's what I wanted to do at first, and I got mixed up, and hopefully y'all like that change. But anyways, I I quickly started watching people like Brooklyn Fragrance Lover, Max Forte. I did watch some of the older people like Al from Street Sense. He's still around. Coach Rob 619. I did watch some of the older stuff like Katie Puckrick. What was his name, like Hero? I mean, I watched a lot of the guys. I'd been watching for a while before I ever started actually getting into fragrances. I watched a good amount of Fragrance Bros. I it seems like he's been trickling out his channel, and maybe he's gonna step out of actual reviewing, and I hope he doesn't. I love Fragrance Bros. I love his content, so hopefully he'll keep continuing reviewing. Triple Ink was pretty good. I used to watch him. There was a guy who I think he got to 10,000 subs. He's called That Fragrance, and he for some reason he quit out of the blue. Cookie. Sorry, the dogs are going crazy, but I don't know. There there were so many. I loved watching Max Forte and Jet Sense. Those guys were really good. Coach Rob 619. Those were the guys I mostly watched, but I dabbled in everybody. Brooklyn Fragrance Lover back in the day, but nobody in particular really inspired me to start a channel. I didn't become big friends with any fragrance reviewers. No fragrance reviewers encouraged me to start a channel. Nobody really knew who I was. I dabbled and tried to become friends here and there, but I honestly my old YouTube account I actually, disabled it because it was connected to an email, and I was getting a bunch of spam, and I didn't know how to mess with it. So if anybody remembered who I was in the past, I kind of, my old name, they probably forgot a long time ago. So it's really funny. Anyways, um, I don't know. When I started my own channel, nobody was behind my back. Nobody was supporting me. A lot of people, even though a lot of people are popping up now a lot more than they used to, a lot of people now, like me, I reach out. A lot of people get support, make quick friends, and people seem a lot more connected than they used to be. When I first got to my first 300 or 500 subs. Almost there were no big fragrance reviewers, behind my back, supporting me, encouraging me, ever mentioning me or giving me shout outs, things like that. So I don't know. I still feel like I'm a little bit distant from a bunch of the fragrance community, but I like to be friends. I was just watching a live of Killer Frags and the Fragrance Apprentice, and they're pretty cool. So there's a lot of pretty cool fragrance reviewers out there. Maybe I'll get to be bigger friends with a lot of them. I chat with Devilish Frags, from time to time. I guess we could say we're friends. And Stefan Fragrance is really cool. There's some cool guys out there, but I don't know. I'm still doing my own thing. I keep my own distance a little bit. I like to become friends with other fragrance reviewers, but I don't like hand out my phone number to everybody, and I don't want to live and die by like wake up in the morning and be on the phone with somebody, talk about some kind of fragrance and what kind of drama happened. And I do like fragrance, and I'm pretty obsessed. My life is almost dedicated to it, but I don't know. I don't want to live and breathe and think fragrance every time and be surrounded by other fragrance reviewers. I don't know. I guess I keep a little bit of distance, but I am very involved, so I don't know. Hopefully that gives you all an answer. Hopefully I explained myself pretty well, but I got another batch of Confessions of a Rebel coming. Another batch. I fell in love with it. Get a Room smelled like a box of Fruity Pebbles. Are you buying a different fragrance of theirs, or are you buying another the same fragrance again? I'm not sure what you meant by that. The Sinister Minister, or maybe you're the owner of Confessions of a Rebel. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Let me see here. Let me catch up with the comments. I missed a bunch of them. So nobody really inspired me to start a channel. Nobody was a big friend of mine. I actually was disheartened when I first started my channel. When I got into that 300 to 500 area, I nobody was really noticing me, and I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting a shout out or demanding it. As if you start your own fragrance channel, you really need to do your own thing and be able to stand on your own 2 feet. You're not a failure, and your success does not depend on somebody giving you a shout out. It does help, and I have got shout out by Gent Sense at this point, which was really awesome. And there's a few people here and there who have mentioned my name, but you don't have to have that. But I don't want to say this story a bunch, and I don't want to feel like sound like I'm a victim. But Jeremy Fragrance, when I started my motto, "Wear what you love," I guess he felt like I was maybe criticizing his authority, or maybe he felt like I was a threat, which is kind of actually an encouraging thing. But he made a video about why you shouldn't wear what you love, and he does a bunch of hot takes and he deletes videos. So I double checked and I couldn't find it. I think he deleted that video, but nobody came to my support. Nobody had my back. And there was one fragrance reviewer who actually popped up in the comment section and actually was trying to immediately defend Jeremy Fragrance, and I guess assumed that I was just a hater or I was just a troll or something. So I was actually, not only was I kind of annoyed that nobody in the other fragrance reviewers didn't care enough to support my message about helping people find what they love and helping people, wear what they love, instead of, focusing on just mass appealing fragrances and wearing fragrances, to get compliments or be attractive. I was actually trying to get people to actually enjoy their own fragrances a little bit more. Nobody made videos, made comments, and nobody really started discussions based on that. And it really bothered me. And also that a big fragrance reviewer, one of the biggest, actually came into my comment section and was trying to, double check and essentially ask if I was hating on Jeremy or not. And I was very clear about that in my video that I wasn't, and I made good points. So you can find that old video. I've improved a lot as a YouTuber and as a person, in front of the camera. The video might be a little bit slow, but I shot back a little bit. But I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. But I do look up to some of these guys. I think JetSense is doing a good job. I think the Fragrance Apprentice is awesome. There are some good fragrance reviewers who are big, and I still think they have their integrity. But I don't know. Some people don't feel the same way about some of these big fragrance reviewers. But let me see here. Violates, where did you buy? I forgot it wasn't night there. The sun surprised me. Oh, yeah. It's not night where I live. I live in Central Time Zone. It's getting a little bit darker, but I've been on here for over an hour, 12 minutes. I'll probably wrap this up in, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. We'll see how big this conversation gets. But I saw somebody do a live and they were on live for 8 hours. I don't want to be on a live for 8 hours, my friends. But I do love chatting with y'all. This is really fun and gives you a perfect opportunity to share what you bought, what you think, what's on your mind. Ask me questions and whatnot. So let me see here. I got a 2017 batch, got 90% full, and on that, a bottle of 90% of Mont Blanc Legend Special Edition blue bottle. Ooh, is it any different? I haven't tried that one. For $40. You always got to check eBay for steals. Yep, and you got to be careful if it's people are cheating you. If you buy a overtly popular fragrance, especially Aventus on eBay, the people who are cheating people have gotten smarter. They usually don't load up the fragrance with cheap alcohol anymore. These days, they actually are buying aroma chemicals like Isoi Super, or they actually get a super cheap like a clone oil, and they'll actually put a little bit of the real Aventus so it smells like it, and in the dry down you'll actually be smelling a cheaper clone. You have to be careful. There's a lot of money to be made, and there's a lot of people making money off of cheating people off of Aventus on eBay. eBay is kind of like ScamBay in regards to Aventus, so you have to be really careful. There's a lot of money involved with people buying vintage batches and decants, and also the scammers. So you have to be really careful with Aventus. You're definitely going into a fire zone, or you're playing minefield, if you know what I mean. It's dangerous for sure. So talking about 2017 batch. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting things mixed up. We're talking about Aventus and Aventus clones. I got another batch of Confessions of a Rebel. Okay, I already read that. Super Ben. Hey, making sense. Hey, no notes. Both of these guys are great fragrance reviewers. No notes. Is actually a pretty cool guy. I've chatted with him a couple times. His channel's growing really big. pretty fast. Who knows? You're probably going to be another guy who's going to surpass me pretty soon. But like your channel, man. I like your vibe. So as far as discontinued goes, I'm curious about some of the old Tom Ford private blend lines, like Japan Noir. I don't remember if I've tried that one. It would be fun to try some of those, but again, Tom Ford private blends are already really overpriced for what they are for the most part. Some of them are worth the money, but a lot of them really aren't. But I don't know. It'd be fun to try them, but I don't feel like I need to dabble into some of them. I've tried a few of them that I think are discontinued. I'm happy that they brought back Italian Cypress. That's one of the ones I really like that I feel like maybe I would pay the extra money for. But Professor X in the house. Hey, how you doing, my friend? Professor X is a pretty cool reviewer too. I like that he's bold enough to speak his mind and his opinion about fragrances. And from the looks of it, I don't think a lot of people have had your back either. You know, you put out your opinion, and you were pretty critical of Office for Men by Jeremy Fragrance. And you know, I don't know. A lot of people in the fragrance community don't want. I don't know, for some reason, wanted to play nice with Office for Men. I mean, I was pretty critical of it as well. And you can be critical of a fragrance without being critical of the person. I don't know. I know some people didn't like what you said, but I respected you, and actually gave you a shout out on my Facebook for that that video. So, Just Box, hey my friend, how you doing? Just Box though, I need to try that brand. I really want to. They look pretty nice. They got one that has like a black powder note, and that one everybody keeps talking about. It's like Feel and Chill. I think that one has watermelon, and the ones that's like Cheeky Smile. I really want Cheeky Smile. I'm a big fan of musk fragrances, so definitely I'm interested in those. I saw your reviews on Fragrantica before I saw you on the channel. Yeah, I'm not too active on Fragrantica anymore, but by golly, I was pretty active, and some people say I was pretty prolific on there. I was pretty dedicated, to there. I used to do reviews really, really regularly. I was really into the Fragrantica scene. I actually wanted to become a writer, and they never got back to me. I got to message, I got in contact with somebody. I don't know how high up they were. I don't know if they were like 5 steps on the ladder. I don't know if they were 3 steps up. And I did get on, what was it, LinkedIn, and I tried to message the owner directly, and I think they either blocked me or ghosted themselves. But I don't know. They didn't want to hire me. I think Tom Elise actually worked for them for like 6 months, and I don't think she said why she was fired. And she said it was really interesting over there. I don't know if she had a bad experience, but I was kind of hoping that I would get hired. But they like Tom Elise, at least for a little while. Let's see. Melig Perfumes on Etsy uses real civet. Yeah, Melig is definitely a guy using real notes and being rebellious. He's a really cool guy. Doc Haas is another one that's coming out with his own brand as well. Melig is a pretty cool fragrance reviewer. He's definitely making vintage-inspired fragrances. He has like a chocolate patchouli one. Maybe I can get my hands on that one in the future. So, thoughts on buying a whole line? I have a couple fragrances that I like. They're actually considered flankers. So, is it worth buying the originals? From the with flankers, it really depends on the designers, or just I guess niche houses. Some of them do have flankers as well. I usually really discourage people of just buying a whole line unless you're a collector or you really like the whole line. Like some people are big fans of the Mugler Amen line, like Pure Havana, Pure Malt, the original Amen, the Pure Wood, the Pure the Pure Coffee, the Pure Tonka. Some people are really big fans, and some people buy the whole line. But for me, I'm just so picky, and again, with the motto "Wear what you love," it's very rare that I want, even 3 fragrances from a line. So, I personally probably am never going to do that. But if you're a big collector, if you have a lot of money, if you want to put them on display, it would look really, really nice if you had all the Mugler bottles and like the whole color of the rainbow. That would look really nice in the same, bottle shape. So it all depends on you. If you're in love with a fragrance smell, like the whole DNA of a line, more power to you. But I'm just so picky. Sometimes I'll try a whole line and there's like 5 flankers, and I'll find like one flanker, and that's the only one I like. So that's like with John Paul Gaultier. I thought In the Navy was pretty good, but I ended up giving it away. But maybe I'll like Aviator. But like so far, I haven't fallen in love with anything from Jean Paul Gaultier. I do think that some of his women fragrances for the ladies are pretty good, but I don't know. It's all up to you, man. If you're looking for thoughts and recommendations on flankers of a certain fragrance line, please ask me. I might know, I might not know, but I'd be happy to help. If you need specifics, I can. I just don't want to bore you. Oh no, you're not boring us. This is what this is all about. But feel free to message me on Instagram or Facebook Messenger. I'd be happy to help. I love the name change. I'm happy that you like it. A lot of people were telling me for the longest time that I actually needed to change it, and I finally decided to change it. And I'm happy that happy that y'all are liking it. So never duplicated frags. Used to be Solano. You know, he changed his name. He's still Solano, the one and the only. Love your channel, man. Solano in the house. Really cheerful guy. Really friendly. Cool guy. Check out Solano. Happy that you're here, my friend. What's your scent of the day? What are you wearing? Happy to see you, Solano. Jamie says, on the subject of your video on one fragrance that I love because of memories, is Dior Homme Intense. The powder note reminds me of my grandmother. Yeah, the iris can smell kind of powdery as well. That might be the iris getting to you, and can remind you of your grandmother. Yeah, it's a really charming scent. Dior Homme Intense can be really comforting. The Dior Homme line is, I guess you can still call them designer fragrances. You know, one of the best lines around. You know, lots of people love that line for good reason. Definitely good stuff. The Dior Homme Intense is probably the more mass appealing, the more easygoing one. The Dior Homme is certainly a good one too, at least before 2020, in my opinion. But and the Parfum is the more macho, the more assertive one of the bunch. So, Stefan Fragrance in the house. Rock on, my friend. Rock on. You're a cool guy. I like Stefan. I don't know if y'all know about him. You know, really cool guy, really cool vibes, definitely laid back. And when I watch your videos, it's like relaxing. I love how you hit those, you know, those chimes, those little bells. I love your vibe, man. Stefan Fragrance in the house. So happy to see you. What are you wearing? What have you been into recently, my friend? Natalie K says you can find both things you like that are still attractive. Plus, who wants to like everyone else? Yeah. I think being unique and finding a fragrance that really suits your personality is what really matters. I mean, it's fine to like the trendy fragrances, and there's a lot of really good mass appealing fragrances. I still like them, but you know, finding a fragrance that really speaks to you and something that is really a love fragrance, I think is what matters. I think that there's too many people that have, you know, it's fine to be a collector if you want to be a collector, but you know, you got to have fragrances that are collecting dust. And even with me being at like 80 fragrances, I might not ever be able to wear all my fragrances. If you have fragrances that you just like and you could spend that time, you know, maximize your time, the precious time that you have, wearing a fragrance that you actually love, why would you keep around, and why would you wear the fragrance that you just like? You know, unless it's just a clone but maybe you really like the original, but you want to save some money. I can understand that a little bit, but I mean, why have fragrances around if you just like them? You know, wear what you really love. And hey, some people aren't as picky as I am. Some people love a lot of fragrances. They love just about everything. So, I mean, hey, I'm not trying to beat down on anybody. So, no notes says you're doing a great job. And and at 2.2k subs is a lot when you really think about it. Yeah, it is. I am really appreciative, and I realize the fragrance community is small. In the past, maybe I seemed like I was complaining. I hope that I never came across that way. I'm really thankful for the friendship, the camaraderie, and the community that is here in the fragrance community in general, and also the Scentatar fragrance family. This is what I care about, and this is what I really love. We're all together. We're all passionate about fragrances, and we're all chatting about, you know, what we really love, and that's the kind of vibes and the kind of thing that I care about. So thank you for the friendship, man. You know, some people think I've grown really fast. It maybe in the fragrance community I do have big goals. I do want more, but I am grateful too. So I guess that's me. Some people might say me being greedy. I don't feel that way. Just like in life, you always want to be bigger and you always want to grow. But if you're making yourself unhappy about it, that's a bad thing. But being ambitious, I think, is a virtue. Striving for success in anything, I think is a good thing. But some people don't feel that way. But that's how I think about things in your job and in your life with anything. I think you should be striving, to become, more successful or better and with anything in life. So, thanks for doing these lives. Hope you continue daily. Well, I don't I don't know about doing lives every day. I mean, most of us are quarantined, but I mean, I guess I could, but I don't want to bore y'all, and I could just hang out with y'all every day, but I feel like doing them on the weekend is a better vibe for me. I upload a video every day. If y'all haven't hit the notification button, or if y'all haven't been up to date on my channel, I've been uploading just about every single day. Absolutely wild, man, out here with the content. And I hope that y'all are enjoying that. So hopefully that satiates your desire to see me every day. But I'll be doing lives. I do a live every morning, just about a quick live, sharing my scent of the day on my Instagram. So if y'all want to see more of me, check me out on Instagram. My Instagram is actually doing really well. I am over 3,000. I think I just passed 3,500 on Instagram. So I don't know. People like me more on Instagram than they do on here on YouTube. And I think that there's a lot of people, who really want to share their fragrance passion on YouTube. So it's still a good place to be, though. Biggest reason I got into fragrances was to start having a personality. I've gone through a lot of crap over the years. I've just learning to wear clothes, hair, and fragrances. For me, I'm old. No, no, I respect that. I'm raised in the Bible Belt. I don't want to get too much into my personal life, but I've been raised in a pretty religious household. You're not supposed to, speak your mind. You're not supposed to be out of place. You're always and serving people and caring about people is a virtue. But when you have to like sacrifice your personality and think the same way and do what everybody else wants and like sacrifice who you are just to appease other people, I was raised in a small community. Everybody knows each other. Everybody gossips and all that junk. And I feel you. Having your own sense of style, your own personality, your own haircut, your own fragrances for who you are, I think really matters. But where I live, where people really, really, like conformity, that kind of, even though I'm certainly, and no, I'm not even close to being a wealthy at all. Y'all be amazed again at how little money I make. I have to save up for months to be able to make a fragrance haul. But that makes me a target where I live in a rural place. That definitely makes you a target. And I actually, this is a weird thing to say, but I'm gonna say it. Uh, a bunch of these fragrance reviewers sometimes put their address out there, and I'm protective and I'm worried, and I've seen maybe the bad out of some people can be and some people can do. I would be careful, my friends, very careful about your address with anybody, because if you have these big collections, some people have 100, 200, 300, 500 plus fragrances. You have like as much as $50,000 plus in fragrances, and people know your address. I mean, there are people who will definitely hit somebody's house for less. So be careful, my friends. Be very careful. Um, and DFW Shade says Dior Homme versus Prada El Homme. I like both, but prefer Prada. Oh yeah, Prada El Homme is really good. I feel like it's a little bit too popular for its own good. I think that Dunhill Century is a great, clean, soapy fragrance. And even the new, what was it called? Offnon Supremacy in Heaven is a great, soapy, clean scent. Prada El Homme is great. I respect it, but I don't know. It's getting pretty hyped. But I respect you. Wear what you love, my friend. If that's what you like, rock it. Oops, meant Dior Homme. Oh yeah, Dior Homme. I personally prefer that one. But hey, everybody has different likes, and I never Wear what you want, and if I like something, don't feel like you have to like what I like. You might actually love a fragrance that I dislike, and more power to you. Wear what you love. Nose, no note says I've only tried Biet Cafe, and I wasn't a fan. Do you mean the Cure Cafe is the one by Happy Land you're thinking of, or is that something else? Yeah, it was really bold, really potent. Smelled kind of, it was kind of like espresso. I like straight Ambroxan, so many of the Ambroxan bombs are easy for me to like. Yeah, everybody has different tastes. Some people can't stand Ambroxan heavy fragrances, and some people like them. If you like Ambroxan, and you're looking for a summer scent, you have to try, Dolce Gabbana Light Blue Swimming Lipari. Definitely check it out. You might want to blind buy it and thank me later. It's an Ambroxan heavy fragrance, and you might like Blue Fire by Happy Land Fragrances. That one is pretty Ambrox heavy as well. Thank me later. I think you might really love those. I think they're pretty darn good. Steve H says, "Good afternoon, everyone from Minnesota." For some reason I like saying it sometimes like that. So hey, my friend, how you doing? Silent Night says, "Howdy, Benjamin. We're all getting country over here. Do I sound too country? I don't like sounding country, even though I probably do sound a little bit country. How you doing, Silent Night? Thank you for so much for being a friend. I don't really know who you are. It seems like you might be a ghost profile, but I really do appreciate your friendship and being a friend. So you're pretty cool. Nose no note says I want to try so much, but I prefer getting different brands. I don't have three fragrances from any one brand so far, only two from MFK. I feel the same way. I'm so picky, and again, I try to find fragrances that I love. There's not one house that I would ever really want to own a lot of. I own Jubilation 25. I want to get Mitzman, and I probably am going to fall in love with Portrayal Man. So I might like three of their fragrances, but that's probably the most I'm ever going to like. Tiziana Terenzi and Nishane could break that trend, though. I haven't tried all of their fragrances either. Tiziana Terenzi could have me, maybe in the future, if I ever save up enough money, having, 4 or 5 bottles of a Nishane or Tiziana Terenzi. I like their houses, too. Really good stuff. Okay, Benjamin, thank you so much for your time. We really got valuable info. Got to hit the hay now. It's 2:23. Yeah, definitely come back and see if you want to watch any of the replay. And I'm definitely here for you. And feel free to message me on Instagram or Facebook Messenger if you're looking for certain fragrances or if you just want to chat with me. I'm definitely here for you, my friend. Thanks for hanging out, Joseph. JB says that was my thoughts. So much out there. I have Dior Homme Intense, and I, do I really need Dior Homme? And certainly agree, Ben, about the 2020 version. Yeah, some fragrances are kind of redundant. Some people are big fans of certain fragrance DNAs. It really depends on you. Some people might fall in love and want every flanker out of a whole line, and more power to you. But I'm certainly that has never happened to me. For your information, I like Little Road. Yeah, I remember you. I remember you first time on YouTube. I remember you by your picture. At least I think it's the same picture. But you're awesome too. Thank you, Little Road. Uh, Jamie says, Jamie Road. I think they are different. And if y'all don't, do you have? I'm terrible. You might get mad at me, but do you have an actual YouTube channel? If you do, definitely tell me and I'll give you a shout out because I think you're awesome. I think I talked to you about maybe starting a YouTube channel. You're really cool. I think they are different enough, but they still serve the same purpose. And I think having Dior Homme Parfum and Dior Homme Intense makes sense. Dior Homme and the Dior Homme Intense might be overkill. Yeah, the regular Dior Homme and Dior Homme Intense are pretty similar. The Dior Homme O is a little bit different, and the Dior Homme Parfum definitely is different and has a big personality. So, Beat Cafe by Juicebox. Oh, that one. Yeah, I'll definitely have to try that one. Does that one have coffee? Are we still on that topic? I want to try Juicebox, if that's how you say it. Juicebox. They're really cool. If you like Ambrox, Jeremy's Office for Men, if you can buy it on sale for under 100 is actually a solid option. Excellent performance. Yeah, some people really like it. It's not a terrible fragrance. I hope I didn't feel like I was trying to beat up on it. My main criticisms with that fragrance, you know, is that it was hyped to heaven. If Jeremy is bold enough to say it's the best fragrance ever created, it better be the best fragrance ever created. That's a one reason. Also, he said he was going to triple the price. Some people actually get mad at somebody like me for being willing to criticize him because he said he was going to triple the price. And honestly, at one point, I think he was selling it for about $200 for one bottle. If you're willing to say that it's worth $300, I might as well just treat it like you're charging people $300 for it, and that you think it's the best fragrance ever, and that you consider it a niche fragrance. So if Jeremy Fragrance is willing to say those things, I'm going to take that into consideration in my review, that it's the best fragrance ever created, that it's a niche fragrance. So essentially, he thinks it's the best niche fragrance ever created, and that's essentially worth over $300. So that's why I was so critical of it. It's not blended poorly. It does smell pretty good. I don't like a I don't know, transparent fragrance that's so, I don't know, almost genderless. But every some some people, you might love that fragrance. Wear Jeremy's fragrance office for men if you like it. But I don't know. For me, it's not my vibe. It's not a smell that I care for. If you can, I don't know, maybe you wear a lot of those mass appealing fragrances and it makes sense for you to buy. But for me, there's plenty of other good blue fragrances out there. I mean, you could buy Sauvage EDT for, get a fragrance that performs like that. Get it for $45, $50 on discount. All that in my review. If Jeremy is willing to, again, to say that's the best fragrance ever made. It's a niche fragrance, so essentially the best niche fragrance ever made. That ladies are gonna fall at your feet, and that's worth $300. I mean, it better be a showstopper. But I mean, hey. And he also said it was gonna change the fragrance game. Like he was asserting that it was gonna change the fragrance world, and like the whole industry was gonna shift more because of his fragrance. He made some big claims, and that that's going to come back at you. You got to be able to, if you talk the talk, you got to walk the walk, if you know what I'm saying. So, can you tell us a few faves from the House of Tiziana Terenzi? It's what's it called? Orion, I think it is a pretty good kind of an Aventus inspired fragrance. I really want. There's one called like, what is it called? Like the Contradiction. It's like the it has ebony wood and like coffee, I think. I can't remember what it's called. Anyways, there's a number of them that I really really want. I gotta get them. I want them. Tiziana Terenzi. Would you ever actually wear Zoologist T-Rex or Tyrannosaurus Rex? No, unless I wanted to go wear it for like Halloween, or if I wanted to scare people off. Its projection's absolutely monstrous. It's not an offensive fragrance, but it does smell like like blood and patchouli, and it's extremely bold. So I don't know if I would ever wear it. I'm not gonna buy it, but I do think it's fun. I do think it's fun to buy a decant of that fragrance and give it a chance, give it a try. I'm not from the USA, and I'm from the UK, and I'm unfamiliar with many of the fragrances that you review. How do you mean? How do you mean ghost profile? Oh, that's just, I have different words for it. But like maybe you're a fragrance reviewer and I can't recognize you by who you are, like your social media account. Like, I say I'm Benjamin, and you can find my Instagram and everything. It's like you know who I am, but you're Silent Night, and I don't know who you are. So, have you tried Beach Hut by Amouage? I have. It's a nice, like more of a fresh but yet dry vetiver fragrance. I don't think it smells particularly sandy. I don't think it particularly smells like the beach. There are some people who really like it as more of a mass appealing, or maybe a little bit more of a versatile vetiver fragrance, but it's not a juicy citrus fragrance like you might expect. And it doesn't particularly smell sandy. It to me, it smells just a little bit more of like a dry vetiver scent. I was kind of underwhelmed. Personally, I was a little bit disappointed, but it didn't work for me. In my personal opinion, I want the concentration to be better, but I think that Costarella by Carnar Barcelona is way better. It actually smells a little bit aquatic and actually smells like the beach. It smells like sand. It's called one of the best summer fragrances, in my opinion, out there. So, Eric Smith says, Ben, any favorites by Byredo? Elevator Music is probably my favorite from Byredo, and I would never pay the price for it. I don't think it has a lot of personality. The quality of Byredo fragrances are decent. I think that they're not really overcharging people particularly, but for me, Byredo, I don't like the core of the DNA. There's like this white soapy, a tonka, like white soapy tonka fragrance to the core of the Byredo fragrances. At least a lot of them smell that way to me. And I personally don't like that, like, kind of DNA. But everybody has different likes and dislikes. Like, for me personally, I don't like the Guerlain private line. And a lot of people love the Guerlain private line. But to me, I get like a soapy floral heart that's slightly wet. And I just don't like that, especially when you, like, Ombre Nuit, which a lot of people love that fragrance. And for me, it doesn't work with the fragrance. It doesn't blend right. And it's just not. It just stands out in a way that it shouldn't be there. It shouldn't be an animalic leather fragrance. This soapy floral heart. But everybody feels differently about different fragrances. I don't think I would ever buy a Byredo. Maybe I would buy Black Saffron if somebody came across my path and wanted to sell it to me for like $80. I don't know. They do have a lot of big sellers. A lot of people love Gypsy Water. A lot of people like Bal d'Afrique. If you like it, I'm not saying it's feminine. Rock it if you like it. So I know that's a good Bal d'Afrique, but I guess I gotten to the point that I'm paying that much money. The core of those fragrances smell a little bit tonka-like, a little bit sweet, maybe a little bit soapy, and everybody has a different style. I don't like Gallivant as a house personally. I didn't fall in love with a lot of their fragrances, and even there's a number of houses where I don't connect to them, but everybody has. Some people do, and some people I agree. If I'm paying that much for a niche fragrance, they should really care about performance. You should really be putting a lot of effort to make us a creation of a fragrance that gives us really good performance. So. But people feel differently. But yeah, I probably won't ever buy a Byredo. And Gallivant is maybe they'll make one in the future, but I'm not a big fan of Gallivant either. You realize that Jeremy is just a big personality, attention seeking and hyperbolic. He's saying things in the moment and he doesn't mean, and just to be provocative. Ignore him if you don't like it. Yeah, I'm not trying to be a basher, and I'm not trying to. I don't know. I don't know how realistic or how unrealistic he believes his words, but when you say something, I'm very literal, and especially when he's saying something to people to encourage him to buy his fragrance, I'm gonna take him at his word. I'm gonna take him that he's being literal because he's telling people that, and there are people out there in the world who are actually gonna buy that fragrance. They're gonna think it's worth $300. Maybe there are some people out there, it's going to motivate them to buy the fragrance, even if he's exaggerating, and even if people realize he's exaggerating. There are people out there who are going to maybe think it's the best fragrance ever, and maybe it's just my personality coming through. To me, you never do anything like that. You got to be true, you got to be to the point, and you got to help people. I mean, I like helping people be creative, seeing fragrances in like an imagine, connecting to their imagination. I love that kind of stuff. But if you're like exaggerating, that's a whole different thing than helping somebody, feel an emotion or setting a certain mood, like in history, or maybe transporting them. It's a whole different story when you're exaggerating and saying it's like the best fragrance that's ever been made. I mean, I see what you're saying though. He's probably exaggerating, and people probably take it with a grain of salt. And I know that people, say stuff like that all the time. You see a commercial on the TV, and they say that this is the best thing that's ever, you got to buy this, buy it now, special limited time offer, $20, like a TV, like a commercial. But nah, I know what you're saying. What are you wearing with Sasha? Hey, Sasha, how's it going? How you doing? Honestly, you popped up here at 1:45. I gotta wrap this up soon, but thank y'all for this amazing night, amazing conversation, and all the friendship. This has been a great night and a great conversation, and it's been a really good one, really nice. And thank y'all so much for being here. Let's see. How's it going? Hey there, Sasha. How are you doing? I'm pretty good, doing pretty good tonight. Honestly, I'm a bit hungry. I need to go get something to eat. It's not worth the stress, my friend. It's like the U.S. president. He's always had an ego. Why expect him to change? Oh, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm not beating myself up about it. I'm not worrying about it. I was just, uh, I was just making a point, and I don't worry about it, and I certainly don't lose sleep over that. Don't think that I did make a point, and I guess I am pretty passionate about it, but I don't think about it all the time. It's not under my skin, um, even though I do have that big opinion, pretty bold opinion, and I don't hate Jeremy. Actually, again, I'll say that I admire his work ethic. I admire that he's so charismatic, and I admire that he actually does bring people into the fragrance community. He does, he does a service. I think he's not a discredit to the service community as much as he has his faults. He's not the enemy, and I'm not trying to tear the guy down. So I hope that y'all see that. So you said you were literal. I'm telling you, he's the exact opposite. He's a salesman, and I get it. What you like to do and help people, and he's up to it. Yeah, I see your point for sure. And I don't know. Maybe he doesn't even believe what he's saying. Maybe he's just saying it to hype it up. Hype it up. Build up the emotions in people. I understand what you're saying, and I'm a little bit of the opposite. I guess I don't know. I'm a different person, but I understand. Let's see here. That frag I was referring to is an Abroxan bomb, and like it and appreciate it. Sorry I brought it up. No problem. Not at all. You're awesome, Jamie. You're absolutely awesome and cool. I see your point, my friend. You're awesome. Anyways, I want to wrap this up. I think I got to the end of the comments. If you had anything else that you wanted to say to me, you can feel free to reach out to me on my Instagram, Centaur Fragrance. Reach out to me and message me there, and I'd be happy to answer you. Or my Facebook, message me there if you have any questions, if you want to have a conversation, if you're looking for certain notes, a certain fragrance. I'd be happy, so happy to help you. And, get in the comment sections, my friends. Get in the comment sections, ask me questions. I respond to every single comment as much as I can. If I've ever missed a comment, I'm sorry, but I try to get back. I actually look up the comments in my YouTube, and I actually try to go back, and I've responded to comments, and at times I've been caught up with every single comment that's ever been on my channel a number of times. I didn't do that today, so I might not be up to date right now, but I really do care about you guys. I really do appreciate the friendship and everything. So thanks for hosting. Thank you, DFW, for being here, my friend, and being here for me. Other than 10 a.m., have you tried? I don't think I have, but that one was a real winner, and it blew me away. So if I get my hands on the other ones, they might be awesome as well. Honestly, I think I picked the perfect one for me, but I don't know. Maybe the other ones will blow me away as well. If you're looking for a great indie house, great performance, great smells, and they did a pretty good job, also check out Fleur. I think Kieran NYC and Fleur are pretty modern, great, houses that came out with pretty darn good products. And honestly, I think that they need to blow up. Kieran NYC and Fleur, both pretty good indie houses that make pretty modern fragrances, but they're pretty unique, pretty good, long-lasting as well. They're definitely, you can tell they're using synthetics, but I think that they use the synthetics pretty darn well. So I'll see you, my friends. I gotta go. I'm hungry, and hungry Ben over here. And I wish you the very best, my friends. Stay well, be safe, take it easy. Wear your beautiful fragrances. I hope that you're enjoying your fragrances. If you have fragrances collecting dust in your collection, think about that you need them. You might want to sell them. And maybe you might need to hold off on buying that new fragrance because you got so many in your collection. Be careful with your finances. Please don't get addicted, my friends. Be careful. And I'll see you next time, everybody. Hope, you don't have to blind buy every fragrance. In the future, when we get out of this quarantine, you can definitely go to the mall and to the boutique and smell all of these fragrances without, spending all that hard-earned money. So I'll see you next time, my friends. Take it easy, live well, be safe, best wishes, good vibes, and all that. I'll see you next time, everybody. Bye. Peace out. Bye.